Okay, we'd like to open the meeting of Clarksburg Select Board on Monday, August 26th, 2024 at 5 p.m. All please stand for a pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, I'm going to have Carl make a statement. There was a mosquito that was tested in Clarksburg that tested positive for West Nile virus.
Okay, so we had a West Nile quarantine today from a 20 sample that were sent to Boston. One of the 20 did test positive for West Nile. We have no human infections as of this moment. We'll keep you posted on any further developments there. There are a number of things that folks can do to minimize their exposure to West Nile, and on the other side of the state they have equine encephalitis, EE, which is significantly worse. But long pants, long sleeves on your shirt, try to minimize your exposure at dawn and dusk, and please prepare yourself for outdoor activities using a DEET, D-E-E-T, type of a spray to protect you from mosquitoes. If anything changes, certainly the select board will keep the public informed. If you have any questions, feel free to give Town Hall a call. Thank you.
Thanks, Carl. All right, this time we're going to move the police chief interview up on the list because everyone's here for that, and I don't want to keep everybody here longer than you need to be. So I'd like to introduce James Fitzgerald to the board and to everybody here. He's from Deerfield. He's a police officer down there, and he come up to answer questions we have about the police department. So I can start it off. I just would like to hear a little bit about your background.
Sure. Before law enforcement, I was a personal trainer. I worked in the fitness industry for about 30 years, and own my own business, training athletes from high school right through to I've trained some athletes that have gone on to play professional sports. But in 2020, like everything else, COVID shut me down. And I just couldn't find a good path to get back into it. So I'd always, I decided to pursue a childhood dream of being a police officer. I come from a military family. My dad, all my brothers, grandfathers, dads, uncles are all Air Force. I chose for a different path. When I got into college, I joined athletics. But I decided to kind of close that circle and put on a uniform. And that's how I got into law enforcement. And I stepped into the Deerfield Police Department, talked to Chief Pachurik, and he, in no time at all, let me know that if I was going to wanted to be a police officer, he'd have a job before moving on with the academy. So that's how I got into law enforcement. I still do some work in training, consulting, but it's nowhere near the capacity that I used to train, and more of a getting younger folks into the business and guiding them along.
All right, thank you. And now tell you a little bit about Clarksburg. We're a small community. We have about 1,652 residents, and we've been very blessed with Chief Williams living in Clarksburg. He lives right up the road, and being our police chief for what, 30 years, Mike, or thereabouts?
85.
Yeah, and it's a little bit funny of a town, whereas some of the small towns rely on the state police. I think there's 5 towns in Berkshire County. There's Hancock, Richmond, Florida, Savoy, and I think there's one other, New Ashford. Yeah. And we were thinking that possibly we may have to go that route because we don't have hardly any industry here, so it's all tax-based, and the state owns about 53% of our town, and the pilot program, they give us like $30,000 in taxes, so we really are a small town with not a big tax base, so we've been very lucky that Chief Williams has stayed on and worked at a reasonable price in being here. But that being said, I did want to mention that we had a discussion last meeting about Clarksburg is a little different than the other towns I mentioned that the state police are running, because we have probably almost twice the population of all of them. And we're like a sub-region of North Adams. So like a lot of our streets go into North Adams, they're really, in my opinion, more city-based. We're not like a real country town out in nowhere land. We border North Adams, so that's why we are here and decided that maybe we should rethink and maybe decide that possibly we should go the route of a police chief. So I just wanted to let you know all that information.
That is, it's similar to areas in Franklin County where a lot of the many of the departments are part-time and do rely on state police for coverage, especially in the overnight. I think we're the only 24/7 department, outside of Greenfield and Orange that have somebody on duty 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
Yeah.
So, every other, bordering towns at some point relying on state police coverage.
Okay, it sounds good. And the other one question I did have while I think of it, I know Deerfield's probably an hour and 15 minutes away from Clarksburg, and obviously you're here, but I just want to make sure that that's not an issue or whatever. I mean, you would be still living there. You're not planning on relocating.
Two things. I didn't give it a second thought.
Okay.
And second of all, we often have discussed the possibility of maybe renting an area closer, so that would give access at on certain days of the week. Certainly wouldn't mind coming and spending our weekends in the Berkshires. That'll give us an excuse to we go to the Berkshires every weekend, and we like it up there. So up here. So it's certainly not an issue.
Okay, that sounds good. Dan, got anything you want to go next, or?
So I see you went to the Reserve Academy.
Yes.
Yep. And then that was in 2021.
Graduated in 2021, and then the bridge program started, so we all had to go back into the Bridge Academy to get extra hours. So they put us through maybe another 200, 250 hours of training through, through coursework. We went through defensive tactics again, firearms, and agency, legal operations.
Yeah.
About another 200, 250 hours of in the Bridge Academy, and that helped us attain our certification as Post Commission, and that's how we achieved and became eligible for full-time status.
Yeah. Well, excellent. And what sparked your interest in applying for this job?
It's I've always prided myself on being in a leadership position. When I started in policing, I thought I would like it. I never thought for a second I would love it as much as I do.
Yeah.
I got my start in policing at an age where most guys are leaving their profession, so I enrolled with the academy at 56, so most guys are like I said, most guys and girls are retiring, and I decided to get into it. I have a lot of youthful energy left in me, so and again I wanted to live that dream. And as far as moving up and being in a chief's position, it's something again that I considered. But when Chief Richard approached me and said, I could see this, if we bring you along with the right kind of training and with your life experience and your demeanor, we can settle into a small town, and you do he believes I do a fantastic job. So it kind of led me to this path.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, Colton, you have anything like that?
I do quite a few interviews for, obviously, my day job, and I think the most critical part is what questions you have for us. So I think at the end of the day, I think it's been laid out pretty pretty thoroughly. We're a very small town. Not a large, robust department. It's been Chief Williams and basically a rotation of part-time or reserve officers for quite a few years. We kind of refer to Chief as our, Swiss Army knife or jack of all trades. He kind of covers every job title under the sun. So I think this position's a little bit different, than a lot of other towns or cities would have to offer. So from your perspective, what questions do you have for us?
Just in terms of, again, what those expectations are. I know in the job description, it mentions being a, emergency service instructor, and I imagine that involves, getting together with, with the volunteer fire department and with the schools with, action plans and emergency plans. And like you said, being a Swiss Army knife and being available and as a constant resource in as far as, what's going on in the town and what the town expects of the person that's, in the position. So, the question I would have is, and again, and you answered that, is that it's the expectations of someone who's going to come and step in and fill that role. And, I feel I'm, quite energized and willing, prepared to do that.
Absolutely. Okay. That's all I have.
The demographics of the town, one of the,
We're,
in terms of age and things like that.
a third of our town is over 60, and we do have a senior center. The rest is spread out, I think, pretty evenly. Like I said, there's 210 or 15 children in our grammar school. And then what we do at North Adams is where the kids go to high school. They either go to McCann Technical School, which is excellent, or Drury, or Adams, Hoosick Valley. The other thing that I have is, like I say, Mike's been sort of an all-around thing. Even if there's a dog issue, Mike's there and handles it. And a lot of these things are not fun to do. And but you would be here, I'm assuming, first shift, and then either we would have somebody on call or we would have to have the state police be available because you are an hour away. And the one that worries me is always the domestic violence. My brother Bill was a police officer for 40 years in North Adams, and he said those were the hardest ones to deal with lots of times. And I worry about how long it would take for somebody to respond, because lots of times a heated argument gets out of hand quick.
Yeah.
So I just, I'm not being a police officer myself, and I'm not sure how you envision that would be handled with things. So would you expect the state police would fill in, or?
Well, the expectation, I don't believe is there. So if there's a provision that would allow for, for someone to be on staff and to be able to handle those, because they are not easy. Usually when, I know, we don't run into this problem in Deerfield, but in other towns, there are times when there is a call does go out in Charlemont, and the closest state trooper is at the Deerfield Crossing Greenfield. So there's a ways to get out there. So I recognize that, maybe challenging, but if there's a way we can, kind of bridge that gap with coverage, and, I think that we could work and with the schedule to make sure that somebody's, make sure that somebody's on staff to help cover those.
Well, and we do have, if there's a full-time police chief, we do have mutual aid with North Adams to help back up people, I believe. So, Chief, I'd like to turn it over to you. Do you have anything that you could add or ask?
Yeah, I was just curious. Excuse me. Have, in your first years of working, because the job here kind of involves everything. Have you ever been involved or conducted like police investigations into crimes and scams and all that?
We investigate some crimes. We do have an investigator at our department. There are times when, if it comes across, our desk, we do investigate it to a point, but then if something like a search warrant has to be written, things like that, well, I'll hand it off to someone on our task force or someone, another investigator, that would help with that process, but then they would kind of take over that lead. I have investigated, crashes, hit and run crashes, thefts, fraud scams, things like that. I've investigated those on my own.
During doing those type of investigations, have you ever had to write a search warrant for in regards for blood work stuff, subpoenas?
I've had to have assistance from one of our investigators. I haven't done it on my own, but it's something I've been learning through during the process of my time at the department.
As far as budgetary, I've seen kind of your background stuff, but just curious on your thought of the budget, to doing the budget, handling the budget. Have you ever been involved in financial budgeting?
I ran a restaurant for a few years, and I had it's another 24 hours a day, 7-day-a-week job, and a lot of it, off schedule was number crunching, and payroll and budgeting and taxes and the profit and loss statements and things like that. So there's a lot of that involved in that business.
Okay, Carl, do you have anything you?
Would you entertain permanently relocating to the area?
My wife would not allow that.
No,
I like that answer.
Would not allow that.
fair enough.
I will not.
It's a good, honest answer.
We all know
Yeah, I
how.
do understand that.
Yeah, totally understandable.
There's no pressure, we're just curious on that. All right, I'm, in today's world, I know we are sort of sheltered here in Berkshire County, a bit like when defund the police and all these things going on everywhere. I don't see any issue in Clarksburg where people are anti-police or for police, whatever. We seem, even when we have recessions and things, we don't see the peaks and valleys. We never have the great gains, and we never seem to have the great losses. So I just want to let you know, because I'm just thinking, if you're down Deerfield, Northampton, bigger cities, and the colleges are all down there, UMass and everything, it might have a little different perspective. So I don't know.
Not in Deerfield. We have a lot of, our police department gets a lot of support. Chief Richard went to the local high school. Everyone knows him.
It's pretty similar to here.
Yeah,
It's just a
so
little bit
it's,
larger.
Sergeant Sokolowski, Sergeant Ravers, they all went to Frontier High. So everybody knows them. And it's kind of that, it's more of a neighborhood in the town.
Yep.
Everyone knows each other. Everyone gets along. Everybody waves. There's, and it's similar here. Like I said, there are about 5,500 to 6,000 people there, but we're corralling cows and chasing bulls off the road. The problem with that is we're right on 5 and 10, so that makes it tough. But it's similar. We get animal complaints, and sometimes we're trudging through the woods in 3 feet of snow. So it's quite similar. So it's something that would not be foreign to me.
Okay, and then that's, I guess that would lead to the question that obviously coming here, you don't know anybody, so,
Yeah.
Do you think that would be difficult for you, or?
No. In fact, it's one of the things that I would feel that would be a necessity of the job, is to make it a point to go out and meet the people that I work for.
Okay. All right, does anybody else have any questions? You want to ask any questions, police officers?
Nope.
All right, and Dan, you have anything else?
No, I think I'm good at the moment.
Colton?
I'm good at the moment.
Carl?
One.
Yep.
Oh, go
I'm
ahead.
good.
So what's your feeling on community policing and the way you look at community policing? 'Cause everybody's got a different way of viewing community policing.
Well, my idea is just that. I like to go out in the community and get to meet people and say hello. I have a kind of a philosophy on policing overall that pretty much suggests that most of the people we come across are good. A very small percentage are people that need help, whether they're seniors, whether they're people in crisis, or just somebody we never meet anybody that's, having a, we meet people sometimes who are having the worst days of their lives. And, part of, living my oath basically is to, that encompasses everything, just to live my oath and that I took. And if that involves a summons or, unfortunately, maybe in a domestic situation, taking, placing a dominant aggressor in the custody, that falls under that umbrella, and that community policing, and just to keep the neighborhood safe, keep the people that we work for, just keep that high level of trust, because there's a standard that we have to meet, and we have an opportunity to kind of, you mentioned, the college areas in Northampton and Amherst. We have an opportunity where we are to kind of like, to turn that around and reset the narrative and redefine what policing is. And because I don't, when people say things like defund the police, I say, if we redefined how we do our jobs,
Yeah.
and we're there to legitimately help people, especially in small towns where everyone knows each other. Let's face it, it's not, it's really sometimes not in anybody's best interest to jam anybody up and make anybody's lives, miserable, because we have to, we have to be a part of it, and in a lot of cases, we have to live here, we have to live in our community. So
Yep.
to be that person, and then one day you're off duty, and there's that guy. I don't want that. I don't want to be a part of that. So I really am, community policing, and especially in terms of crisis intervention and elder services. That's kind of my heart work, and one of the big reasons I did get into policing. It's really not, a cliche of lip service for me, but I did take this job to take care of the people that in my community, and take care of the people that I work for.
Yeah, and I always liked, I don't know if it was a car show, if it was even North Adams, there was written on the police door to serve and protect. I always like that, because that's basically
Since the
what you
beginning
should
of
serve
time,
and
and,
protect.
it's, if we can just, remember that, and
Yeah.
like build off that foundation, because again, part of that is that 2% where, unfortunately, like I said, we have to, place people in custody and things like that.
Yeah.
But it shouldn't be I don't believe it should be a function of the job. When I start my shift, the first thought in my head is not, let's go find somebody to write a ticket to. That's not my thought.
Good to hear.
I patrol the area and look for people that I can help. And most of the time, that's how it is in a small town like Deerfield, and maybe on a smaller scale like this. Most of the time, 95% of the time, we're helping people out.
people.
We're checking small
Absolutely.
businesses and making sure the owners' buildings are secure when they leave, and that's what we do. Answering medicals and making sure that we're available. That's the majority of the job that we do.
And I just have one last question, and I don't mean to put you on the spot at all. Just our small towns, we obviously can't compete with the cities for pay and things like that. And lots of times we'll get good people in here, and of course, as soon as another town needs them that can pay more, they hop. And I'm not looking for you to say, commit me, you're going to be here. I really like people to improve themselves, so I'm all for people doing what's best for them. But if you could give me any intentions you may have, what are you looking for? Like, again, be blunt, I mean, is this job strictly going to be like a stepping stone, or are you looking at, you could be here for a while, or what are your thoughts on that?
Well, like I said, I stepped into a police academy like I said, at an age where most people are getting out. And as police officers' careers go, mine is going to be relatively short. I thought maybe I have 10 to 15 good years left, and if I could spend those as a chief of police, then I can't imagine using that as a stepping stone to, to
Yeah.
go to. My intention is to not, to not work in a big town. I am from the city. I grew up in Buffalo. I lived in New York for a while, but I've been here for almost 25 years, and I consider myself just a small town person. The whole Yoke Mall kind of stresses me out.
Stress anybody.
I really don't. I really can't imagine. It would be a culture shock that I probably don't think I would enjoy, much less recover from. So I think on a community like this, the reason why I chose it and pursued it is for that reason, to find a place to kind of settle in and get to know everyone and help everyone and call it home for, like I said, for as long as they have the energy to do it. I honestly believe it's 15 years.
Appreciate answering that. I just like to let people know the situations the small towns are in and suffer too. All right, does anybody else have anything else? All right, James, appreciate your
coming,
your
James.
coming.
Thank you very much. I appreciate you having me.
We will be in touch. We do,
Thank you very much.
we do have a lot to discuss,
Thank you.
and we certainly will be in touch with you. Let you know.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Nice to meet you. Congratulations. Of course. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you, Jeff. Safe.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
You're all set.
Thank you. We're all set. Yes, thanks, Chief.
Yeah, I'm just telling my chief about that in the room. But, so harass chief.
Thank you.
Just to follow up on one of the things you're talking about with, like, if there's domestic going on, how the state police would possibly respond to that if they're tied up. So I did have a conversation with Lieutenant Gamari at the Cheshire State Police Barracks. And so I know we talked about like how we possibly lose a mutual aid agreement with North Adams, but state police has a mutual aid agreement. So if there's a serious call that requires immediate attention, state police will call in and ask for mutual aid to North Adams to respond to that call until a trooper can get there on scene.
That's very good to know. Thank you.
And so
Thank you for.
if for some reason North Adams was tied up on a situation like that, they may reach out and ask Adams to send one officer and Wingstown to send one officer, possibly. But that's the understanding.
Yeah, I just always worry about, things never happen, then all of a sudden we'll get in a situation and bang, something serious is gonna happen and whatever, but. All right, now we'll go to the library tree issues.
Got lots of issues up there. So last Thursday, I met with Debbie Bua, who shares a common border with the town's library site. There's that whole row of trees behind, on the north side of the library. Kind of got brought to my attention after the tree fell on the library a couple months ago. And there are some big trees there, and there's some big trees.
Yeah.
One of the trees is in a V shape, Y shape, whatever you want to call it. It's probably solidly 16 inches in diameter, and that's midway. That's not even on the stump. And it's right adjacent to a telephone pole with 3 transformers that look like they've seen better days, and none of them have been too recent.
The National Grid's not gonna take them down, right?
I don't know that yet, so that's where I'm headed for it.
Can we, if National Grid's not gonna pick it up, can we just get numbers to see what's gonna be to take these down?
Yeah.
Because we're basically, like everything else, we're
Okay,
kind of sitting on a powder keg waiting for something to happen.
well, that's right. I don't want it.
That's, yeah, I'm
Okay.
fully in support. Just, I
Perfect.
feel like we kind of delay things until it,
Do you know how
Gets
close
worse.
the tree is to the, oh, really? So National Grid,
They might.
they may.
Yeah, let's try that avenue first.
yeah, I think that's, yeah, have them, go to them first. If they'll cover it, then.
Yeah,
And there's
pick
a
it up.
contract with group purchasing for
Okay.
$250 an hour.
Well, it's, I hate to say it, is what it is.
It is what it is.
All right, thanks,
We're
Carl.
purchasing with, just with like a tree company, you mean, or?
Well, the Berkshire Regional Planning Commission does the bidding for
Gotcha.
different products,
Yeah.
and that's one of the products is tree services.
All right, next is the upcoming digital equity event on Saturday, September 14th at the Community Center. There's going to be a presentation and people are going to be here to discuss the digital equity. Do you want to add to that, Carl?
So everybody should have gotten a card mailed to their house. And so if you are interested, we're trying to make sure that everybody in town has access to reasonably priced and reasonably available internet service. And so if you look at your card, you can see that there is an RSVP needed. And we would enjoy very much, it's on a Saturday, for as many people to show up as possible. And as part of this, we're also going to be endeavoring to have some education going forward for people who might be a little bit scared of the internet. And so we look forward to seeing you there.
And I met with a person, they had a little a thing for the senior center explaining things, and I was surprised that a lot of seniors, they're afraid to pay bills online and things like this because they just don't trust anything. And that's why this is important, that people do show up and show support, because if we do, they not only will try to improve our equity and our power to like the senior center and the library and things like that, but they also will do training for people and try to make sure that everybody knows how to do it, what to be afraid of, what not to be afraid of, and how to do things. So I just want people not to blow this off. It's very important for the town, and the federal government's putting a lot of money into making sure that everybody has access, so we want to take advantage of it.
Absolutely.
All right, school lift update. I know, Carl, I'll let you, I know you gave me an update this morning.
Yep, so we met with the state and the vendor this morning at the school, and so we have a certificate, an inspection certificate from the state, so it's good to go. I'd like to take a moment to thank Tom Bona for all of his time, his efforts, and his diligence in shepherding this long, tedious, and bureaucratic process through. It speaks to his commitment to the town, so we certainly thank him, and it's ready to go. It's usable, so we're
All
good.
right, that's great. Thank you.
That's great to hear. I think that's what, going on 3 years.
It's
Yeah,
two and a half anyway.
I remember, I think we were starting when we first got on the board
That's right.
together.
We were. Do you have an update for the audit that's being
They're
conducted?
almost finished with 23, and they're gonna move on to 24. So far, I mean, I've given them everything I have. I haven't seen a finished product yet, and that might be in the offing when they finish 24 also, so
All righty.
that's where we're.
I know we have open positions for the bill,
Board of
I'm
Assessors.
sorry, Board of Assessors, last time, Board of Health, and the ADA Commission. We just, again, like publicly let everybody know that these positions are very important. Most of them do not require a lot of time, but volunteerism is the backbone of a small community, and it's important that people, again, don't blow these positions off. They're very important. They usually don't take up a lot of time, and it's very helpful for the town. So appreciate it, people put
What do we
somebody-
travel look at? Is it one seat per board?
Yes.
That's what's, okay. If anybody's interested, just submit
Yep.
letter of interest.
If they have any questions, have them give me a call.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. We got on your police chief update. I know we're interviewing. We also have a second applicant that we probably will interview after we look at the resume. And then we're going to have to make some decisions, but we're working on seeing if it's beneficial and affordable for us to continue having a police chief. So we're working on it, and as you saw tonight, we had an interview of definitely a professional policeman. North Houghton Street update.
So the only update I have is that we have the traffic counter down. That was a task that the chief also did. And it's a part of the grant writing process. So Kyle and myself and the chief went down, and he's teaching Kyle how to do it. It just in the potential that we don't have a chief of police. So that's down there collecting data for when we do the grant, write the grant.
Okay. Also, I just want to mention with the Houghton Street, they're doing the gas lines coming up through. And North Adams is also paving their part of Houghton Street. And I found out today that they had to have it one way for a while because of all their paving and things like this. So they were letting people come up the road, but there was a sign road closed going down, and people had to go down Eagle and then they have to swing over like Liberty Street and then come up to get to their home. So I just want to let people know that for a couple of days, be aware that you may have some detours and go around. But
Inconvenient.
obviously, everybody will be able to get home. They just may have to go around the route. Okay, at this point, are there any public comments? All right, hearing none, we will close the meeting and sign the warrants. So I'd like to have a motion to close the meeting.
Motion to adjourn.
Second? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.